Welcome to the Courageous Conversations podcast, hosted by me, Hannah Chadwick, the director and founder of Fortitude Training. In each episode, I'll be sharing my tales, tips, and techniques with the hope that they'll help you make your work life more positive and productive. I hope you're able to find the hidden gems that you can learn from and utilise to positively impact both your personal and professional life. Each week, you'll hear about a variety of topics like workplace culture, wellbeing, diversity, leadership, and team building. Episodes will be a mixture of me sharing stories from my own personal and professional experience, and me interviewing guests, where they're sharing their lived experience insights. I hope you're able to find the hidden gems that you can utilise to positively impact your personal and professional life. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Courageous Conversations podcast. I can't believe we're at episode 4 already, but I hope you guys are enjoying the journey as much as I am. And I hope you're all doing well and having a wonderful week so far. Here in Leeds, we've gone from glorious sunshine to endless rain. I was looking at the analytics the other day and I was literally stunned to see that I have listeners from all over the world. So hello to you guys in Germany, Canada, Australia, America, Malaysia, New Zealand, Indonesia, and of course to those in my home country of the UK. If you're a new listener and you're tuning in for the very first time, then welcome. I'm Hannah and I'm your host. And if you like the show, then why not hit the subscribe button so that you'll never miss an episode? And if you want me to love you forever, why not leave a rating and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts? Reviews really help me to attract new listeners, so why not share the love and leave me a nice review? We'll kick off proceedings as usual, starting off with the rundown of some good news stories from this week. Then it's today's Courageous Conversation, 6 months off with the kids, now what? Which looks at ways that employers can support parents who are either going to be returning from furlough or returning to the office when the kids go back to school in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, we've got Hero of the Week and the positive note. So without further ado, let's get started. This is the rundown. Hundreds and thousands of pupils received their GCSE results last Thursday after months of waiting. On an unprecedented day of results, we saw the pass rate here in England increase to an all-time high. It's thankful that the GCSE students didn't suffer at the hands of the notorious algorithm that impacted so many A-level students the previous week. Congratulations to all those celebrating their results. Next up, British supermarket chain Tesco has announced that it's creating over 16,000 brand new permanent positions. That's all due to the increase in online shopping following the coronavirus pandemic. They've seen their online sales jump from 9% to a whopping 16%. Hopefully the creation of these opportunities will provide some relief to the many thousands of people who were left jobless as a result of the pandemic. We all know that festival season is unable to go ahead as planned this year, with the likes of the Leeds Festival and the Leeds and the Notting Hill Carnival all being cancelled. But music fans can avoid the mud, the rain and the portaloos while still enjoying some great live music. The organisers of the Leeds and Reading Festival are putting on a virtual show this year instead. They'll be showing reruns of some legendary performances, so I for one am looking forward to that. Now it's time for today's Courageous Conversation. Okay, so this week's episode is entitled 6 months off with the kids, now what? So obviously lockdown presented a sudden radical lifestyle change for most people. We were all impacted to some degree, whether it was the long lines queuing at the supermarket, or not being able to see friends and family, or even being advised to shield completely. But for the 7.2 million home workers who have children that they've been caring for, this pandemic created a new normal that's lasted for almost 6 months. 5.3 million of those home working parents have children under the age of 11. And in the UK, there are 700,000 lone parents. And whilst it was a blessing to have the luxury of having all that time together with our loved ones, as the saying goes, you can have too much of a good thing. Whether you've been furloughed or working from home or working for yourself, parenting 24/7 hasn't been without its challenges. For me personally, life in lockdown with my child at home was extremely challenging. If I'm honest, it's definitely taken a toll on my mental health. It's been like doing a whole other job that's 24/7 without any breaks or annual leave, but you get paid in cuddles. And with schools in England set to reopen in the next 2 weeks, it's presenting yet another change of gear for parents. Some schools are opening on reduced hours or on a rota basis, whilst others are staggering the pick-up and drop-off times. All in all, it means that the transition back to school is going to be a potential minefield for parents, many of whom may not have felt they've recovered mentally and emotionally from the past 6 months. And with most children having had half the year off school, I for one am not looking forward to instilling a routine as we work our way back to business as usual. Early morning starts, homework and bedtime routines probably went out of the window in most households. With children struggling themselves with the lockdown and the hurt and frustration of not being able to see their friends and family, it's understandable that parents have been more lenient in the name of keeping the peace. Suddenly they're going to have to adjust to being back at school in the new normal, at the same time as returning to work or returning to the office. I wanted to share some thoughts for business leaders to consider that may help facilitate better understanding and support for parents as they navigate this change. Number 1. Return to work meetings and risk assessments. Return to work meetings aren't just for sickness absence, and they've never been more important than now. With so many risks involved in returning to work, whether it's remotely or in the office, it's vital that employers are adhering to their obligations to ensure the safety and well-being of their employees. Some staff may have pre-existing health conditions or may now be experiencing mental health concerns following the lockdown or being furloughed. Others may be struggling with grief if they've lost family or friends either to COVID or to other illnesses over the past few months. They may not have been able to attend the funeral of a loved one, or even if they did, the restrictions may have meant that they're finding it difficult to grieve in quite the same way as they normally would. All of these things are going to mean that they're going to need extra support from you as their employer. As well as carrying out a return to work meeting to establish whether your returning employees are physically and emotionally ready to return to work, you may also want to consider signposting them to services such as grief counselling or maybe your employee assistance programme if you have one. Number 2, mental health concerns. Parenting during the lockdown has most likely impacted working parents in terms of their mental health. We were suddenly thrust into the roles of teacher, cleaner, caterer, children's entertainer, comforter and enforcer, all while still working in many cases. The pressure of all these responsibilities was further compounded by not having any downtime, no access to wider support networks, and helping children to adjust so that they didn't feel frightened. It was just immense on top of the aspects that we were all dealing with and the worry of the unknown invisible disease. I know many parents, myself included, are finding that our children simply aren't tired at night because they aren't able to be as active in the daytime, meaning their sleep patterns have been disturbed and they're just generally not very happy bunnies. Any parent in this situation knows that if the child is up, you're probably up too. Overall, these experiences may well have impacted your employees' mental health, and it's vital as their employer that you support them as they adjust back into their normal working life. They could now be struggling with anxiety, depression, or even grief if they lost a loved one during this period. If you have an employee assistance programme or similar support available, then it's vital that you signpost your employees, even if they appear to be doing fine, because you never know what challenges they may be facing beneath the surface. Number 3, offer a gradual transition. Try to ensure that you provide a gradual transition for parents returning to work or to the office, remembering to show patience, understanding and empathy. It's no doubt going to be a culture shock as they've returned to the office and it's covered in hazard signs and black and yellow tape when they've been tucked away at home for several months. Also, they probably had very little in the way of adult conversation and interaction, so try to be understanding if they're initially a little more chatty or less productive than usual. Number 4. Provide the option of coaching or refresher training. After being out of the swing of performing their role and functioning in a busy office environment for almost half a year, some employees may benefit from having the option of a workplace coach or mentor, someone who they can regularly liaise with as they transition back into somewhat normal working life. Just having that forum to discuss any concerns and a sympathetic ear could work wonders for stressed out mums and dads who've basically been working flat out 24/7 with their kids. Similarly, some employees may need a few days of refresher training just to get them back in the swing of things, and easing them in this way could help create a smoother, more gentle return to work for them. Number 5. Vulnerable groups. Some of your returning parents might also have been shielding themselves, or they may have been caring for family members who are having to shield. The worry of going from the relative safety of your home environment to sending your little ones into school and returning to work is a frightening prospect for anyone, but particularly for anyone in this vulnerable category. Again, try to be empathetic and supportive, as this will no doubt be a very stressful and worrying time for them. They may too be suffering from mental drain if they've been caring for elderly relatives as well as their children. Signposting to your employee assistance programme and having a supportive point of contact at work could be just what somebody in this situation needs to help them recover from what's been a very stressful few months. Number 6. Tensions with other employees. It's understandable that there may be some tension with other employees who haven't been furloughed or perhaps don't have children. Some people may see furlough as a paid holiday and may think that their colleagues have been living it up for 6 months while they've been hard at work. It's important to remember that none of us could have foreseen what happened with this pandemic, nor did we have any control over things such as access to schools and extended family support. It's vital that we all try to be supportive, understanding and empathetic to one another. I for one know how challenging it's been being on mummy duty 24/7, and this past 6 months is the most time I've spent with my daughter since she was born. It's been exhausting and couldn't be further from a paid holiday. We've all tried to navigate this situation as best we can, and everyone's circumstances are different. Ultimately, harbouring ill feelings towards colleagues over this situation is pointless, and if left unaddressed, those simmering tensions could bubble over into something more serious. If you're getting the impression that this is happening in your workplace, it's worth having an open discussion to address the elephant in the room and to find a way to move forward on one accord. Number 7. Wellbeing focus. A real drive towards focusing on well-being will do all of your employees some good, especially those who have children. Even if they've been furloughed, the past 6 months has basically been doing a job without any weekends or days off, so they're bound to be feeling fraught and in need of some refocusing and relaxation. Maybe you could arrange some socially distanced workplace yoga or meditation. Both practices can really help people to disconnect. We've all been glued to our devices of late, so it would be calming and therapeutic to get a little zen going on. Maybe you could encourage walking meetings, which has the added benefit of getting some fresh air and exercise whilst you discuss business. Or perhaps you could start a club, like a lunchtime walking club or a Zoom work choir, just to provide some fun group activities that reinstate a sense of community. Or now that the cinemas are open again, maybe you could arrange a socially distanced team movie night. You'd be helping a business in your local area, as the cinemas are really struggling at the moment, and your employees could probably do with an evening out after 6 months of watching the same Disney films over and over again. That wraps up this week's Courageous Conversation, and now it's time for Hero of the Week. This week's Hero of the Week goes to former ambulance worker and fellow Leeds resident William Wheatley, 87, from Meanwood. William presented solid silver medals inscribed with Hero 2020 to the 12 community nurses from the Meanwood neighbourhood team who care for him. He wanted to show the team his appreciation for caring for him over this past 6 years, and he wanted them to know that he valued their dedication. News of his kind gesture even reached number 10 Downing Street, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson hosting a Zoom call with William and the Meanwood neighbourhood team. I've made William Hero of the Week because he didn't have to do what he did, but his random act of kindness and demonstration of gratitude will no doubt have come as such a delightful surprise to those community nurses. William's act serves as a reminder to us all that we should remember to show kindness and gratitude to one another. The positive note. This week's positive note is inspired by William's good deed, and it's from Charles de Lint. Every time you do a good deed, you shine the light a little farther into the dark. Take care of yourself, and bye for now. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Courageous Conversations podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to access your podcasts. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget to tune into next week's episode, and until then, take care. Bye for now.